And on Capitol Hill, senior contributor for the Daily Caller and columnist of the week, Matt Lewis. Good to have you both on board.
Matt, you have an article today in the Daily Caller, but we're going to just go straight to that ad because you're talking about him having a narrow path to victory. It seems that path might get a little more narrow if you have people like Lindsey Graham going around and just trashing him all the time. And that's going to happen. And now we see $1 million poured in already against Rand Paul.
Well, that's right. And I think that's one of the challenges that Rand Paul faces. When he won election, there was still some Bush fatigue. There was a sense that America had been too interventionist and that Rand Paul was the man for the moment. But since then, you saw Russia invade Crimea. Rand Paul was sort of on both sides of that issue. You've seen the rise of ISIS. And I think the zeitgeist has changed. And I think reading the tea leaves, there is a sense that libertarians believe that Iran are rational actors, that they're not fanatics. These are people that we can negotiate with. And frankly, if America would just leave them alone, they would leave us alone. That is a huge philosophical difference between where I think most mainstream conservatives are. And this is just the beginning for Rand Paul.
Gene Robinson, can Rand Paul come close to winning the Republican primary in this sort of environment?
Well, probably not. But you know, that question of the zeitgeist is very interesting because clearly the zeitgeist has changed in Washington. Clearly in Washington, people are back more into the interventionist mode. But I'm not at all sure that's true in the country. You know, there are polls out there that show people absolutely support the idea of making this deal with Iran, even if they have skepticism as to whether the Iranians are going to follow through with every sort of, you know, tick every box and follow through with every requirement of the deal. And, you know, when we get to the election, I just have my doubts as to whether this is going to be as much of a foreign policy election as a lot of people think it's going to be. I think it takes a lot to make an election a foreign policy election.